Okay, in this segment we'll briefly talk about comparing the frequency across different virtual corpora that we've created. First of all, and this is mentioned in the segment on managing corpora, but by default when we compare the frequency in our different corpora, it's going to ignore any corpus that is grayed out. And to gray out a corpus, to temporarily ignore it, you just click on this icon and then it won't appear in the list of results. So you might want to do that if you're comparing, for example, religion, and you have some virtual corpora that don't relate to religion and you don't really want to see them in the search results, then just ignore that corpus for a certain period of time. So let me give you a couple of examples of comparing across different corpora. I'm going to look for forms of obey, and I simply select my corpora. And now the different virtual corpora that I've created, it finds which ones have a form of obey in it. I click on relevance and it shows me that this concept, at least in Wikipedia, is discussed the most in Islam, followed by Christianity, but not very much in Hinduism. If I want to see that word or phrase used in a particular virtual corpus, I simply click on it. Let me give you another example. Let's say that we want to look at the word, look for the word gods. In other words, multiple gods, polytheism in the different corpora. Then I would just put in gods into the words field. I'd make sure that I have my corpora selected, and now when I search for that and click on relevance, it looks like it's most frequent in Hinduism, followed by Buddhism, but it's not discussed very much at all in Islam. If I didn't really even want to see psychology in the results list, again, I could simply ignore psychology and then it wouldn't appear in the results. Notice that in none of these searches for obedience or gods did basketball even appear in the results list. It's not grayed out. We're not ignoring it. It's just that those particular words don't appear in that virtual corpus, and that's why it's not in the result set. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to talk about real briefly is comparing the patterns in which a word occurs across different corpora. So in order to do this, I'm going to look at the word stress in two different virtual corpora, engineering as well as psychology. So I'll say that I'm looking for stress, and I will choose engineering. I'm going to look for keyword in context. I'm going to look for words to the left. If all of that seems a little bit confusing, look at the video on searching within corpora towards the end of that video, and explains this in more detail. So anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm going to get some tokens for the word stress, in this case in engineering, because that's what I've selected. And I can see that when we're talking about stress, there's effective stress, mechanical stress, shear stress, tensile stress, yield stress, and so on. And then I can come along and I can say, well, let's compare that to psychology. So when I do that now in psychology, we're going to have words like chronic stress, occupational stress, post-traumatic stress, psychological stress, and so on. So anyway, hopefully this video has been useful for you in terms of seeing how you can compare frequency of words and phrases across different corpora, as well as comparing the patterns in which a word occurs in different corpora.